Dune is on its way to being the best sounding trilogy ever. The first two have both won Oscars in sound, and seeing part one in theaters really woke me up to what sound design can do for a film. So I wanted to celebrate the sound by highlighting my favorite sounds from Dune Part 1 and 2. Let's get right into it. I'll start with a couple honorable mentions that I just couldn't leave out. The human spider in Part 1 eating out of its bowl.
The thing must leave.
You can speak without fear.
I had to put it in here. It always cracks me up and it's so creepy. And I love the little chewing sounds that you can hear as well as the bowl moving around. It really like added a lot of creepiness to the scene other than it just kind of standing there. So I love that. The second honorable mention is the Baron choking on the ceiling after he gets poisoned. It's honestly such a funny moment, and it really adds to the Baron's creepiness in a great way. And I love that he slammed his suspensor belt and it just went flying to the ceiling, and he's just been there presumably for like hours. I don't know. Sticking with the Harkonnens, Fade Routha's growl bark thing that he does after killing the second Atreides soldier will always make me laugh. It reinforces the animalistic nature of Fade, and I look forward to it every time I watch it. The last honorable mention is also from this scene. I am obsessed with the picadors clicking sounds in the arena. It reminds me of the Predators clicking and helps make the Harkonnens seem even more alien. I would love to know who is under that outfit, if it's another twisted creature thing that they turned a person into, or if it's just a Harkonnen citizen that is a big fan of the Alien series. Okay, now we're getting into the real list, which is the top 20. And I have ranked these, but don't take the rankings super seriously. I more just wanted to list 20 of them. So I love these all equally, but some of these are a little bit more memorable than others. Starting with number 20, this is actually a combination of two moments, one from part one and one from part two. But the frequency roll-offs that happen when Paul is swallowed by a wall of sand are so impactful, and the use of sound and the use of the lack of sound in these scenes is so great. And seeing all of these in theaters was great. And actually, a long time ago, I made an edit with these two scenes, and they like work together really well to create this interesting transition. I'll play it right here.
Go, 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 go! Vitulek din biwag zama! Unara sok! Udao fixihi! Ni flipit! Kumuni!
Number 19 is the Harkonnen bodies hitting the floor in the eclipse scene at the beginning. I'll never forget that the first time I saw this movie in theaters and the bodies started hitting the floor and you could feel it in your chest, and it was kind of like a wake-up call of like, this movie's going to be like heavy hitting, like no punches held, and they were going all out, and it was like a satisfying. It was also like a super big drop, and it would sound like that if you were standing right there. So great sound. Number 18, I listed the Bene Gesserit ship leaving Caladan. After the Bene Gesserit get in the ship, and the lights start to turn on, you get to hear this like really cool, like almost digital sound as the lights turn on. And then as the ship flies away and it disappears into like this thunder lightning cloud, so satisfying. Number 17 is Muad'Dib sniffing Paul under the sand. Both times that Muad'Dib shows up in these movies are fantastic. He's a cute little guy, and in part two, especially when he's sniffing Paul, I love how like contrasted he is. He's just this tiny little animal that's so breakable, and then this giant Harkonnen sand harvester comes down into frame and just takes over. And I love he like runs away. I love both scenes with the little mouse. Number 16 is the sand compactor in the tent scene in part one. I love how in these movies we like get all these devices that are very like tactical, like you feel like they're very real, but they still have these sort of supernatural or like extra elements to them, like where it can make the sand using a magnetic field like separate. And the sound design is so satisfying on these. I love the sand compactor. Number 15 is I call it the God Emperor voice at the beginning of both of the movies. It's not confirmed who it is. It's probably just the Sardaukar priest. But in my headcanon, I like to refer to that as the God Emperor talking to us. It's an incredible way to start the movies. And I love when I saw part one, it was like this jolt of telling you to pay attention, and this is about to be like really weird. Sets the tone perfectly. Sound design is so punchy. You feel it in your chest. It's good shit. Number 14 is the Hunter Seeker in part one. And what I love about this sound in this scene specifically is that he's playing this hologram projector, and as he turns it on, as he's playing it, you start to hear this high-pitched like drill sound, and your mind initially just attributes that to the projector, and it's just a sound that is natural. And then as we cut to the Hunter Seeker emerging from the wall, you realize, oh no, that sound was coming from the Hunter Seeker. And then it's cool to see how Paul also realizes that. He turns around. It's not a sound that I enjoy, this dentist drill like high-pitched thing, but the way that it's used, it's so sneaky. It's one of my favorite moments of sound design in the films, of how it can like also trick you, the viewer. Number 13 is Chani exploding the Harkonnen against the Harvester with her rocket.
Charlie!
It's a great, funny little moment, and it's a satisfying thing to see a Harkonnen get exploded like that. Great moment. And for number 12, we're sticking with the same scene, but it's the ornithopter turrets that the Harkonnens have.
Oh, shit!
I love how it's a blend of like almost an electronic sound mixed with this like very tactical like bullets spraying and hitting sand. So sick. Number 11 is the Emperor's ship arriving to Arrakis. I love how the score and the sound design work together here. The score starts with this super gentle tone, and then a male choir comes in, and then the fire comes in as the ship is entering the atmosphere. It just makes for a really satisfying entrance and like an intimidating presence for the Emperor and his guards. Okay, we have cracked into the top 10. I've got at number 10 the first use of the shields in part 1. I love how like soft but also crunchy this sound is of Paul tapping it against his hand, and as it gets through, we hear that pinging come in. The shields were done so well. Both the visual effects and the sound were done so well.
Shield.
Number 9 is kind of like a niche pick, I think, but the sound that the Atreides ship makes when they are arriving on Arrakis It reminds me a little bit of the Bene Gesserit ship that I described as like this digital sound, but I just love this little note that it plays. For some reason, it's so satisfying to me. So that's number 9. Number 8, I'm sticking with another door unlocking sound. This Dune franchise really knows how to make a big door sound good. But number 8 is the door unlocking for Fade into his entrance into the arena. There's so many things going on in this scene, and so it's hard for me to just not talk about all of it. But specifically, the latch, like there's a heavy like rolling, and then a latch release, and it's in rhythm with like the movie. Joe Walker is an editor with like a musical composition background, and he loves rhythmic editing. And this door unlocking in the arena scene is one of my favorite moments in any Dune movie. For some reason, it just really hits like a part in my brain that just makes me want to watch it again. And number 7, I have the arena announcer's voice. We're sticking with the arena scene here, and I think one of the best background vocal deliveries in the entire franchise is the arena like announcer. It's so enthralling, and the sound design behind his voice making it sound so booming. It's just so captivating, and it like every aspect of this scene is just perfect. It's one of the best scenes I think in either movie, but especially the arena announcer just kills it. It's so great. Okay, at number 6, I have when the worm speaks to Paul in part 1 at the end. This is such an important moment because it's like a spiritual kind of connection, if you want to look at it that way, between Paul and Shai Hulud. But the sound design of his throat, like clicking, the sound design of the worms is just out of this world. But specifically, this moment really was impactful for me in theaters. All right, we're into the top 5. We've cracked the top 5, and I'm going to start it off with another worm moment, which is when the worm makes Gurney and Paul sink into the sand, and we get that that iconic vibration sound where they put the metal plate under the sand and shook it to where the sand starts to like melt into itself. One of the most satisfying sounds in any movie is the worm arriving and the sand starts to shake. Great sound design. And at number 4, I had to include an ornithopter somewhere in here, and I'm putting that at number 4. And I'll just put the first time that we see an ornithopter take off as they land on Arrakis. Everything from the doors closing to the wings coming out to it actually lifting off. It's just so well done, and it sounds like a real machine, but at the same time, it's like not a possible operating flight thing. You know, I would love to see Nathan Fielder fly one of these. Okay, at number 3, we have the atomic explosion towards the end of Dune Part 2.
Fire!
One of the more important moments, I think a lot of Dune fans were curious to see how they were going to do it, and I think it really delivered, shooting those like 3 missiles at once. But specifically, what I love about the sound design here is there's an initial explosion, but then it kind of gets swallowed into this like quiet reverb, and it allows you to soak in the moment of like, what the hell? He's doing insane harm to the planet, and also like ignoring the convention and just like going all out. This is like a huge moment for him and for his army and for the future of what this means. Huge moment, and I love that reverb that you get on it. It's so cool. And at number 2, I have Margot Fenring's use of the voice. I've already made an entire video about this scene. I think it's one of the best scenes in either movie. Just the ability it has to swallow you, and you like get lost in her voice just in the same way that Fade does.
May I ask, what are you doing here? You're not taking part in your own celebrations.
But her voice, she begins to use it, and it's like a little bit subtle, but also it kind of immediately grabs your attention of like, whoa, something just changed in her voice, and then the lighting changes on her face. And I don't need to go into the cinematography of it as well, but specifically just the sound of her using the voice is incredible.
You've been a desert.
And what makes you say that?
I remember now. I dreamed about you last night.
A pleasant dream, I hope.
Don't mock me, woman.
I wouldn't dare.
Okay, and we've made it to the final sound. The best sound in either Dune movie is the Harkonnen missile attack in Dune Part 1. The sound of the missiles reaching the shields of the Atreides ships and then slowly going through, and there's like this pause while the explosion happens inside of the shield. There's this pause of sound, and then it explodes out after it builds enough pressure. Easily the most satisfying sound I've heard in either movie. Everybody loves a good science fiction explosion, and I think this one just takes the cake. So this was me just kind of appreciating the sound design of Dune Part 1 and 2. Shout out to Mark Mangini, Theo Green, Richard King, Ron Bartlett, Doug Hemphill. Everybody else that worked on the sound did an incredible job, and I think Dune Messiah will have even better sound design. I'm trying to post a lot more in the coming months. I know I took a decent break. But I appreciate everybody that has been commenting, viewing, liking. And if you are interested in more Dune or Denis Villeneuve content, like and subscribe.